Ever notice how sorry seems to slip out of your mouth for things that aren't even your fault? Let's talk about why we keep saying sorry and why it's time to change that. So, what happens when apologizing becomes less about courtesy and more about habit? When every sorry starts to shrink you and subtly chip away at your confidence, it's a cue to rethink how you approach conversations. Let's break down exactly why we apologize too much, how to stop, and Jefferson Fisher's best strategies to let go of unnecessary guilt. Why are we doing this? Have you ever apologized for something that clearly wasn't your fault? Like when someone else bumps into you and your instinct is to say, sorry? Or maybe you've found yourself asking a totally valid question but tacking on a nervous sorry to ask at the end. If any of this sounds familiar, you're definitely not alone. Over-apologizing is something most of us do without even realizing it. It's a learned behavior, something we often pick up as children. We're taught to say sorry as a way to be polite, avoid conflict, or smooth things over quickly. And sure, in the right context, an apology can be kind and respectful. But when saying sorry becomes a default response, it can start to do more harm than good. Instead of helping you build better relationships, it can quietly chip away at your confidence. You start to look less sure of yourself, even when you know exactly what you're doing. And over time, you may find yourself second-guessing whether you even deserve to ask for what you need. So what's the big deal with saying sorry a little too often? Isn't it just a sign of being polite or considerate? That's what many of us believe. But here's the hidden truth. Constant, unnecessary apologies can quietly sabotage your confidence. Every time you say sorry when you've done nothing wrong, you send a subtle message to others and to yourself that your presence is an inconvenience. And over time, that message sinks in. It affects how you speak, how you stand, and even how you view your own value. Apologizing when no one's been hurt or wronged creates an imbalance. You're essentially taking on guilt for just being. Whether it's asking a question in a meeting, needing help, or simply taking up space, over-apologizing trains your brain to believe that these normal, healthy actions are somehow a burden to others. And here's where it gets worse. People start to treat you accordingly. They may talk over you, dismiss your input, or assume you lack confidence. Not because they're unkind, but because your words are teaching them how to perceive you. That's why cutting back on apologies isn't just about language. It's about reclaiming your presence, your voice, and your self-worth. The Jefferson Fisher's approach. Jefferson Fisher isn't just a lawyer. He's a master of clear, confident communication. His advice has gone viral for one simple reason: it works. According to Fisher, the first step to breaking the over-apologizing habit isn't to change your words, it's to listen to them. Pay attention to how often you say sorry in a day. You might be shocked. Are you apologizing for being busy, for asking a basic question, or just for taking up space in a conversation? That's not being polite, that's self-erasure in disguise. Fisher encourages what he calls curiosity over correction. Instead of instantly trying to fix your language, get curious about where the apology is coming from. Are you trying to avoid discomfort? Manage someone else's reaction? Keep things smooth even when no conflict exists? Awareness is the foundation. Once you hear yourself saying sorry when it's not needed, you've already started the shift. Because in that moment, you can pause. You can choose different words. Fisher doesn't ask you to stop being kind. He teaches you how to be kind without sacrificing your presence. That's the key. Don't erase your voice. Strengthen it. And it all begins by noticing the words you use every day. Here's something Jefferson Fisher emphasizes again and again. Every time you say sorry unnecessarily, you're giving away a little bit of your confidence. Not because you're weak, but because you've been taught that shrinking makes you more likable, more agreeable, more safe. But guess what? That mindset doesn't serve you in the long run. It chips away at your ability to communicate clearly, assertively, and authentically. Think about it. How do you feel when you constantly downplay your needs, soften your statements, or apologize for sharing your thoughts? Probably a little smaller, a little unsure, a little less present, and it doesn't just affect how others see you, it affects how you see yourself. You start to internalize that your words are a disruption, that your ideas aren't worth asserting, and that your presence is something to excuse. Fisher challenges that completely. He believes you have every right to take up space in a room, in a conversation, and in your own life. That's not arrogance, it's self-respect. When you change your mindset from "I'm sorry for speaking" to "I'm allowed to speak," your communication shifts, your body language changes, and people start listening, not because you demanded it, but because you stopped apologizing for it. One of the most powerful tools Jefferson Fisher teaches is this: don't just stop saying sorry, replace it with something stronger. This shift is subtle, but it makes a huge impact. When you catch yourself about to apologize for something harmless, pause and ask, is there a better way to frame this? Often, the answer is yes, and it starts with gratitude. Take this example. You're late to a meeting. The reflex might be, "Sorry I'm late." But if you flip it to "Thank you for your patience," the entire tone changes. Instead of centering on guilt, you center the other person's grace. You acknowledge them without putting yourself down. It's polite and confident. That's the heart of this practice. It's not about becoming cold or robotic. It's about shifting the energy of your words. Gratitude builds connection, while excessive apology invites shame. When you learn to replace sorry with statements like, "I appreciate your time," or "Thanks for bearing with me," people don't just hear you differently. You feel different too, more grounded, more present, and more in control of how you show up. Remember, this isn't about never saying sorry. It's about using your words with purpose, not habit. Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty. You're in a conversation, and the word "sorry" is sitting on the tip of your tongue. You want to be respectful, but not self-erasing. What do you actually say instead? Here are some real-life swaps from Jefferson Fisher's playbook, phrases that sound assertive, warm, and confident without carrying the guilt trip. Instead of "I'm sorry, could you repeat that?" say, "Could you please repeat that?" I want to make sure I understood you correctly. This keeps you engaged and respectful without apologizing for listening. Instead of "Sorry to bother you," try, "Do you have a moment?" You're being considerate, but also clear that your time matters too. Instead of "Sorry for asking," say, "Thank you for considering my request." Gratitude feels strong. It gives people credit without taking power away from your own voice. These small changes make a huge difference over time. They help shift the energy of your communication away from self-doubt toward mutual respect. You're not trying to avoid being a bother. You're just learning how to show up with calm clarity. So next time you feel that sorry rising, pause and try one of these instead. Let's clear one thing up. This isn't a campaign against all apologies. Real apologies still matter. In fact, when used sincerely and at the right time, an apology can be one of the most powerful tools in your communication toolkit. Jefferson Fisher makes this distinction clear. There's a huge difference between apologizing for existing and apologizing for impact. When you've genuinely hurt someone, inconvenienced them, or made a mistake, yes, own it. But do it with clarity, not with groveling. The goal is accountability, not self-degradation. Instead of a long-winded, anxious, "I'm so sorry, I messed everything up, I didn't mean to, I feel terrible," try this. "You're right, I missed the mark. I see how that affected you, and I'll make it right. Clean, direct, respectful. Unnecessary apologies dilute the impact of the ones that matter. When you say sorry for every little thing, it's like crying wolf. But when you save it for when it counts, it lands, it holds weight, it builds trust. So yes, apologize when you need to, but stop apologizing for existing, asking, needing, or participating. Because there's a difference between making amends and making yourself small. It's not just about the words you say, it's how you say them. Jefferson Fisher emphasizes that body language and tone are often the unsung partners of communication. And if you've ever apologized and then immediately folded into yourself, shoulders hunched, voice lowered, you know exactly what he means. When you feel like you're in the wrong, your body starts acting like it too. Now imagine the opposite. You stand tall, make eye contact, and speak with a calm, steady tone. That doesn't mean yelling or posturing. It means showing up like you belong there, because you do. Try this the next time you're tempted to say sorry out of habit. Take a deep breath, roll your shoulders back, ground your feet, then speak slowly, clearly. That pause alone changes the entire vibe. Your body is saying, I respect myself and I respect you. When your words and body are aligned, people listen differently. They lean in. They take you seriously. And more importantly, you take yourself seriously. So don't underestimate posture, presence, and pacing. You can still be kind and approachable, just with a presence that says, I deserve to be here, because you absolutely do. Instead of saying sorry, try replacing it with words that carry strength, clarity, and intention. Jefferson Fisher teaches that the right phrase can shift an entire conversation. And the goal isn't to erase empathy, it's to redirect it into something more powerful. Let's say you're running late to a meeting. Instead of walking in with, sorry I'm late, try, thank you for waiting. It instantly flips the energy. You're still acknowledging the delay, but from a place of gratitude, not guilt. Or when someone bumps into you and your instinct is to apologize, try all good. It keeps things calm and kind without diminishing yourself. Here's another one. Instead of sorry, I might be wrong, go with, here's how I see it. What do you think? That opens the door to collaboration while keeping your confidence intact. You're not being cold, you're being intentional. Each word you choose shapes how others see you and how you see yourself. It's not about perfection. You'll still slip up and say sorry sometimes. But every time you choose a stronger phrase, you're building a habit of self-respect. And the more you practice, the more natural it feels. Jefferson Fisher doesn't just talk about communication, he lives it. His background as a trial attorney gave him a front-row seat to high-pressure conversations, where emotions run high and words matter most. And through it all, he learned something simple but powerful. Emotional intelligence is your superpower. It's not just about saying the right thing. It's about reading the room, checking in with your own reactions, and leading with calm instead of chaos. When someone gets defensive, most of us mirror that energy. But what if you didn't? What if, instead of snapping back, you asked, what's going on beneath that reaction? Not aloud, but silently, as a mindset shift. That one pause can change the entire tone of the conversation. Fisher calls it owning your 50%. You can't control what others do, but you can control how you show up. Emotional intelligence isn't about being soft, it's about being skilled. It means listening more than you speak, noticing more than you react, and choosing words that de-escalate, not ignite. In conflict, the most powerful person in the room is often the calmest one. And with practice, that can be you. One of Jefferson Fisher's simplest but most powerful techniques is what he calls the 3-second rule. And no, it's not about food hitting the floor. It's about holding space before you speak. Here's how it works. When someone says something that triggers you, instead of firing back instantly, you pause. Just for 3 seconds. That's it. 3 seconds of silence. In that pause, everything shifts. Your brain catches up with your emotions. You give yourself space to choose a response instead of blurting out a reaction. And more importantly, you often come up with something smarter, calmer, and more effective than whatever you were about to say in the heat of the moment. This tiny delay does more than protect your dignity. It keeps the conversation on track. Instead of escalating the tension, you create room for understanding. Fisher says the 3-second rule saved him from countless arguments, both in court and at home. It works because silence is disarming. Most people expect defensiveness, not reflection. That short gap? It throws off the rhythm of conflict and replaces it with curiosity. Try it once. It might feel awkward, but do it enough, and it becomes your default superpower. When a conversation feels tense, how you begin can make or break everything that follows. That's where the gentle startup comes in, a concept Jefferson Fisher highlights that's rooted in relationship psychology. Instead of launching into blame or accusations, you start soft. You describe what's bothering you using your feelings, not the other person's flaws. For example, instead of saying, "You never listen to me," you try, "I've been feeling unheard lately, and it's been really frustrating." Same topic, different tone, drastically different outcome. Fisher says this approach lowers people's defenses right away. Why? Because you're not putting them on trial. You're letting them in. You're showing vulnerability, not to manipulate, but to invite connection. The gentle startup doesn't mean you sugarcoat the issue or avoid hard truths. It means you lead with intention, not aggression. You're guiding the conversation away from escalation and toward resolution. It's especially powerful in personal relationships, but works just as well in the workplace. Want your coworker to take feedback seriously? Don't ambush them. Start with clarity and kindness. The truth is, the first 10 seconds of a tough conversation often decide where it's headed. So lead like a bridge builder, not a bulldozer. How could communicating without all the sorries change your next conversation? Here's your challenge. For the next 24 hours, notice each sorry you say. Pause. Ask, did this really need an apology? Or could I say something else? Give yourself permission to be direct, grateful, and present. Breaking the habit of over-apologizing takes practice and self-compassion. But as Jefferson Fisher reminds us, every step away from unnecessary sorries is a step towards stronger, more confident communication. Thanks for spending these few minutes with us as we unravel the apology habit. Remember, your words are powerful. Use them to build yourself up and create connection, not shrink away. And if this helped you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with someone who needs it.